Here's a general strategy for balancing half reactions. Let's focus first on reactions happening in acidic solutions. First, you have to balance all the atoms besides your hydrogen and oxygen. You balance the hydrogen and oxygen last, okay? So once you get all the atoms balanced, you balance your oxygen by just adding H2O to the side that needs it, okay? And then you balance the hydrogen by adding H plus to the side that needs it. And then finally, you balance charges by adding electrons. Okay? Now, if you've already identified, since presumably you've already figured out how many electrons lost or gained anyway, you know how you can actually do this ahead of time. But if you can look at charges just to verify that the electrons lost, electrons gained actually matches the change in oxidation number. Okay, so let's illustrate that with this. Perchlorate gives you Cl2 in acidic solution. So that's my half reaction. I've identified the species involved. Okay. Now, what was the first thing we need to do? Balance all the atoms besides oxygen and hydrogen. So what's the only atom here that's not hydrogen or oxygen? Chlorine. How do I balance my chlorine? I need 2 there, right? 2 chlorines on the left, 2 chlorines on the right. So now, next step, balance. Once you balance your chlorine, you balance your oxygen now, right? How do I balance oxygen? How many oxygens do I have on the left? 2 times 4, that's 8 oxygens, right? So I'm going to need 8 oxygens here. On the right. How do I get 8 oxygens on the right? I add water. So how many waters would I need to add? I add 8 waters. For every oxygen I need, I add a water molecule. Okay? Now, I've balanced my oxygen, right? 2 times 4, 8 on the left, 8 times 1, 8 on the right. Next step, balance hydrogen. How many hydrogens on the left? No hydrogens. How many hydrogens on the right? 8 times 2, 16. So I add 16H plus to the side that needs it. So all my atoms are now balanced. The last step is balance charges. Okay? Let me fix this up. Balance our charges. What's 16 times positive 1? That's positive 16. What is 2 times negative 1? Negative 2. So what's the total charge on the left? Positive 14, right? What's the charge of chlorine? Neutral molecule, 0. What's the charge of water? 0 times 8, still 0. What's the total charge on the right? 0. Charges must be the same on both sides. So how do I make charges the same? I add electrons. To which side should I add my electrons? You want to add electrons to the more positive side, right? So I add 14 electrons to this side. So to this one, let me move this. I can't move it. So to this side right here, I have to add 14 electrons. Okay? So let me rewrite this. My balance equation is, my balance half reaction is 14 electrons plus 16H plus 2 perchlorates, 2ClO4 minus, gives you Cl2 plus 8H2O. Alright? Let's make sure. We have 2 chlorines, 16 hydrogens, 8 times 2, 16 hydrogens, 2 times 4, that's 8 oxygen, 8 times 1, that's 8 oxygen. Total charge 14 on each side. Now, let's verify that the electrons lost, is this, by the way, is this reduction or oxidation? Let me just do a quick check. A, is this reduction or oxidation? Is it A, reduction, or B, oxidation? see if you remember. This half reaction that I just wrote, is this a reduction or an oxidation half reaction? It is reduction. Very good. Oh, here's another memory aid I've developed for this. Reduction, remember, is electrons gained, right? It appears on the left. Electrons appear on the left. Regal. I like making stuff out like that so I can remember things on a test. Okay, so it's reduction. Okay, so electrons gained. Let's verify using oxidation number. What's the oxidation number? Remember what got reduced here? This one, right? 2ClO4 gives you Cl2, right? What's the oxidation number of chlorine in ClO4? What did we say oxygen was? Oxidation number of oxygen is -2 times 4. That gives you -8. So what must the chlorine be here? Let's call it X plus -8 equals -1, the overall charge. What's the oxidation number of chlorine in perchlorate? +7. What about Cl2? What's the oxidation number of chlorine? This is a pure elemental substance. Oxidation number is 0. So you went from +7 to 0. That's 7 electrons gained. Is that consistent with 14 electrons here? Yes, because there's 2 chlorines in this half reaction. So 7 electrons gained, that's per chlorine, okay? For every chlorine. And since you have 2 chlorines in this half reaction, then that should involve 14 electrons gained. Okay, so that's how you do it.